I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins.
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch the fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. We got a packed house today. We got our normal podcasters, the brothers, Jim and Dave White, Super Dave, myself, and then we have Scott, is it Maurer?
Yeah, Maurer is fine.
Maurer, yeah. And Joe Trussell from CDL303. Welcome to the studio, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
Morning, everybody.
Happy to be here. Thank you.
This is Truck Driver Appreciation Week, so happy Truck Driver Appreciation Week, everybody.
Woo-hoo.
We're going to kick it off with the pledge. We're going to do something a little different today. And here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah,
very
Might
cool.
have
Good
got a
old
little,
John Wayne, right?
little bit of goosebumps there.
Can't get more
I
American,
wonder what year that was. I
right?
wonder when he did that.
Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all of their families, and all the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and in making a good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comfort of our homes this evening. We pray for healing and 100% recovery for all of our family members that are ill. No matter what, we trust you, God, and it's in Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
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 As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFWs or CDL303s. It's just our expressed opinions, mixed with some facts. Some are unchecked, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm taking these guys' test. There's a lot of facts.
Yeah, that was a fact-filled course.
It was.
Yes.
It was.
Some of it saddening
Oh,
facts.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
But what a perfect, people to have on with the Driver Appreciation Week. A little bit of
Absolutely.
education along with appreciation. So,
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Episode 149 had 274 downloads. We are at 81.1 thousand total downloads, and our followers keep going up. We have 631 followers. Hopefully, Joe and Scott are two of the new followers. I don't know.
so
Already subscribed.
We'll convince them by the end of it. Or headlock before you leave.
Yeah, these numbers are going to double after we're on here.
We're gonna get the CDL 303 bump.
Popularity train.
I think our highest episode was, weren't we just shy of 1,000 with
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, wait.
Oh, yeah, with Eric.
Eric,
Zuberg.
easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Paco's in the number one spot now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. So, well, guys, it's time for the dad joke challenge. I did kind of make a deal, donuts for dad jokes. So hopefully we got some good dad jokes here. Joe, we'll start with you.
All right. I'll throw this one at you. Did you hear about the guy who showed up at the emergency room with 10 little plastic horses shoved up his butt?
Nope, definitely didn't hear about that.
I have, but I'm not going to steal your thunder.
Doctors describe his condition as stable.
That's a good one. All right. Well, you set the tone for the podcast. There's no holding back. What do you got, Scott?
Mine's a little bit more maybe philosophical. I thought of this months ago. What is the source of homelessness?
Mm.
And mine was they lost their username and passwords.
Wow. Soup, what do you got?
I was going to say mental illness, but no, I definitely like the punchline better.
If I
for
lost
sure.
my username and passwords, I would be lost.
Right. So, what do you call two monkeys sharing an Amazon account?
Primates.
Primates.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Good one.
All right. Did you guys hear what one toilet said to the other?
No.
You look flushed.
Man, you guys are killing it. I don't even know if mine will compare here. All right. 3 golf clubs walk into a bar. The putter ordered a beer. The pitching wedge ordered a gin and tonic. The bartender asked the third one if he wanted anything. He replied, "No thanks, I'm the driver."
That's good.
That's good.
I can see my daughters cringing with all these.
Right? Are these actual dad jokes? How old are your daughters, Joe?
My daughters are 18 and 21.
Okay.
Two CU buffs.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why we need to sell this course.
So I got 2 jokes. One of them is from my daughter Bella, but the other one's from my buddy Timmy in North Carolina. He said, "What do you do with an elephant, or what do you give an elephant with diarrhea?"
Yeah.
Lots of room. And then this one's from Bella, my 10-year-old. It's a really good joke. I couldn't believe she told it. She says, all right, so there's a Passover church, and he tells his congregation, "I got good news and I got bad news. What do you want first?" The people say, "We want to hear the good news." He's like, "All right, the good news is I've been praying about it, and I've been praying about it, and I've been praying about it. We're buying a bigger church. We're moving. You know, we looked at the numbers. Everything's going to work out. It's going to be great." So the congregation, praise God, amen. This is great. Well, what's the bad news, Pastor? He's like, "Well, all the money's still in your pockets."
It's a good one.
Very appropriate.
I'm like, "Where did you hear that?" She's like, "Caleb." She's sitting there telling the joke like this. Like, that's Joe Caleb. All right. New employees. We got Joe Tiscarino and Jason Cantu is a new mechanic in the shop. So he is on the night crew, and welcome to the fleet, Joe, as well.
Yeah, welcome
aboard.
everybody.
Yeah. We haven't had a new mechanic start since,
Sergio?
oh yeah, Sergio was probably
Yeah.
was Sergio here before? Anyway. All right.
No, he was here after Malcolm.
Okay. Gotcha.
Sure.
All right.
Or you're thinking Teddy.
Teddy might
Yeah,
be the newest.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the night mechanics, hopefully Jason gets the word to listen to this. I mean, I hope he's not left out or doesn't know anything about the podcast or anything like that. I mean, hope the orientation grabbed him.
He seems pretty personable. When I see him tonight, I will tell him about the podcast, and then he got a shout out.
Perfect.
Everybody likes to hear the shout out. So
Right?
Yeah.
What good way to start.
Absolutely. Speaking of the mechanics and anniversaries, Matt Gale Jr. 1 year on 9/11. Bob Mardian hit 4 years this past Sunday. Oh boy. Jim White, 42 years today.
Man, I
Yeah.
didn't see that got snuck in there.
And then Steve Barnes hits 2 years tomorrow. Happy anniversary, everybody.
Yeah, happy
Happy
anniversary.
anniversary.
Well
42 years. That's nuts. Birthdays, we missed Benny Gonzalez last week on 9/11. I missed Matt Gell's anniversary too. I have to look at these spreadsheets. Jesse Radaba, his birthday's today. And then Emilio Camacho has a birthday on Friday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
everybody.
birthday.
Birthday.
Yeah, that's thinking about that. I don't think anybody realizes how many stats we actually keep. Jam, the anniversaries, the new hires, all the different stuff, the family members. There's a lot in a lot of spreadsheets.
Yes.
It's a lot.
Absolutely. It used to be easy to look out on Bamboo, and now it's like you got to jump through 15 hoops to find out anything on Paycom.
The
Paycom,
curse,
I mean-
the curse of Paycom.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle just to sign on. I mean, not to find anything.
Yeah.
We haven't been off Paycom in a while.
Right.
It feels good. All right. Family birthday celebrations. We got Marina Calzada turned 4 on Monday. By the way, her brother Elias, so this is Jose Calzada's children. He is 2. Last week I said he was 8. So
Oh, right.
not yet.
He called us out at the fuel pump.
He sure did.
He looks older than he really is.
He's just mature.
Small for his age.
There you go.
For his age.
I told him, don't worry, time flies. He'll be in before you know it.
Regan Courier, Dustin's daughter, she turned 11 on Monday as well. Manny and Kim's daughter, Alicia, turned 1 yesterday. Oh, I heard I missed Paco and his family stopping by with the baby.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Boy, they were all glowing, all three
I
of them.
bet. And then Athena Gonzalez, that's going to be Benny's daughter. She turns 8 on Friday. So happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yep. And then Beth Marty and Bob's wife sent us a very nice thank you card for acknowledging Bob's better half. She made that very clear in the card. So thank you for the thank you, Beth.
Yeah.
Yep, it was a nice thank you card.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Chris Moore. I've been wanting to do this for a few weeks. If you guys don't know, our night Coors drivers, because Coors has been a little slow, they've been fueling trucks up at night. So, if you came in, you left your truck empty last night and then it was fueled up the next day, it's because Chris Moore fueled it or Jason. But Chris Moore took it a step above and beyond, and he's changed a few mud flaps out. He's looking at your mud flaps, and if it needs to be changed, he's taking care of that. So that's my shout out for the week.
That's awesome.
Yep. You guys have any shout outs?
I wanted to bring up, might be a little corny, but since the guys are sitting here with us this morning, Scott and Joe, and then how does it work? Road aware safety. That's the partners you guys
Correct.
have.
Arizona.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll get into it, you guys, and get to talking about it. But I wanted to give a shout out because, like we were just talking before we started the podcast, there isn't any mountain training really to speak of, and you guys have taken that on. And in our industry, we appreciate that. And hopefully from our podcast, we get this across, but it's all about being better and a better driver and a better person. And there's some good points in there, and I enjoyed the training. So I just wanted to throw out, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
you.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I'll probably thank you a few more times, but, it took a few weeks to get it figured out. No big deal, but I'm sure your partner in Arizona is a great guy, but we wanted the local Commerce City guys. Yeah, so appreciate you coming on,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, should be great. Any other shout outs, Soup? Don't like nobody?
Yep.
Nobody.
I'm going to throw a shout out to Al Fry Jr. Hopefully
Yes.
you listen to this one, Al. I saw when he was a guest on our podcast, he brought a bunch of Al Fry
Rocks.
glamour stuff. And I love those rocks. I think we had one in here, unless that's the one in your office, Jim. When I saw it yesterday, I was like, gosh, I haven't talked to Al in ages. So I snapped a picture of it and sent him a text, said, hey, just saw this and thinking of you and your family. Hope you're doing well. And he just replied back so poignant. I mean, he's just such a well-spoken guy. And, it was great to chat with him just a little bit via text. So shout out to you, Al. Glad to hear everybody's doing well and things are good. So
100%.
Yep.
All right. Joe or Scott, you got any shout outs for anybody? Your family, your kids, anybody that might?
Well, my younger daughter celebrated her 18th birthday last week.
Hey, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy
up,
birthday.
Up at CU. Took her up there about 3 weeks ago, adjusting to being an empty nester, which, I won't go into too much detail because I could talk about it all day, but the kind of the sadness and apprehension about my second daughter leaving to go to college is completely counterbalanced by how excited she was. I mean, just a different person.
that's great.
Dropped her off that dorm and she looked at me like, so I'm going to stay here and you're going to leave. And I said, yeah. She said, and that's how it's going to be. And I said, that's how it's going to be.
That's awesome.
That's great. Well
Good
done.
stuff right there.
Yeah, that's life right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Get used to it, Joe. It's great.
Yeah, Super Dave has 2 daughters also, so that are older now, grandkids, all sorts of stuff. So, but over the last 30 years, we've all grown together, haven't we, Dave?
Yeah, we sure have.
Nice.
All right, getting into the discussion and just a couple house cleaning items, and then we'll move on. We've been having a slew of mirror strikes, I want to say, in the past 6 months. I'd say in the past 6 years, hasn't really been an issue, and I'd say in the last 6 months, we've probably had 5 mirror strikes. Just so you know, not that it's about money, safety first, right? We don't want anybody to get hurt. But even the chrome back cover on a Kenworth is $800.
Wow.
Yep. And that's just for the chrome plastic piece on the back. They're getting $854 for that. some of the mirror strikes have not been our fault. A few of them have been our fault. So keep in mind, those stick out further than your truck. I don't know how else to put it.
Right.
Are those the heated version?
Oh, yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are spendy.
Yeah. And the new mirrors that are on the Peterbilts, we got these new fancy mirrors. Only one of the trucks have them now, but they have cameras in them. And then there's the actual video screens on your A-pillars inside the cab of the truck.
Huh.
So don't know how much those will cost if you smack one of those.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Breaking that camera at the bottom.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And how
Yeah.
long it would take to get a replacement, or do they even have replacements?
Yes, right. The in stock kind of thing.
No pressure, Rosario.
Well, in the last
we got seven more coming.
Yeah, the last
Yeah,
seven
seven.
trucks will have them.
Right. Okay.
Hey, on any of that film, do you guys remember? Because I thought a couple of them were in like construction areas, where the roads narrowed up. Like I
Could be.
remember some concrete barriers set up, or I mean, what is the reason for it? Anybody got any?
Well, lack of space, obviously, right? The most recent one, the other truck, was the LV Lightning truck. Lightning?
Lightning Ventures.
Yeah,
Lightning
Lightning
Ventures.
Ventures. His tires were on a solid white line,
Okay.
and we tried to pass him in the turn lane, So
Just don't fit, and we didn't
just
stop.
don't fit, not go. I mean, speed is a reason, because if you're going slower, you would stop,
Yeah.
Right.
Speed
In
and
the
space.
turn lane or in the construction zone?
Our driver was going to make a left, so he was in the turn
Okay.
lane. LV was on the white line in the left lane.
Stop.
So stopped, at a red light. So, there's that. Last week, we talked about getting out of your truck and comparing the material you have in your truck, in your trailer, to the material in the pile that you're dumping. And it seemed like we had a couple issues this week, even after the podcast last week. So if you don't know what you're hauling, or I don't know how you double check, lightweight versus pea gravel, or, river rock versus crushed rock, if you're not sure, just check twice. It'll save us a lot of headaches.
Yeah, and I think we got some feedback on the one yesterday that's where the driver was told to dump, and you still have to take that responsibility. If the two materials don't match, don't dump.
Right.
Just don't go up. That's where they told me I'm done. That's not bringing any value to the customer or value to the job you're doing. And we got to, we've done it a lot recently, and it's just plain stupid.
Right.
I mean, we can't do it. It just embarrasses me. And I know Brandon, I announced it on the radio this morning. They made us pick up the material and pay for the load.
Right.
And usually they let it slide, and they're done.
Yeah.
They're tired.
Yeah. Yeah, if they could salvage it, sometimes they will. If there's a little sand in a rock, that's salvageable. But if you got,
Now, the thing is, we contaminated two materials by doing that. So we delivered 25, but we hauled off 31.
gotcha.
So, yeah.
Expensive
It
mistake.
cost us a load and then some.
Right.
Yeah, and the driver's time and the embarrassment. And again, we're not bringing any satisfaction to the customer. That's what bothers me the most.
Sure.
Is that
Customer service.
all we have is a service. We tell everybody
Yep.
that, and here we are, screwing the service up. It's
Yep.
just it doesn't work.
That's our creed.
Yep. And then along to go along with that, not reading the dispatches and checking whether it be XBE or our Toro, or putting it all together. The same thing is, this morning I think we hauled out a Wallstrom, and we're supposed to be hauling out a Young's Ranch, and it was just one truck that pulled the load. But when you're the only truck out of 110 trucks, and I know not all 110 go to Wallstrom, I'm making that a point, but there's probably other loads should be coming out of that quarry. Right. And when you're the only truck, something's wrong. You didn't beat all our trucks up there.
Where's all my friends at?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Another
no
quarry.
friends, no party. Right. Yeah. So come on, you guys, lately we have to do better.
Yeah. I'll fess up and mess up. My very first load after Super Dave cut me loose back in 2013, I hauled sand to Central, but I delivered it to the concrete plant. And we
The
didn't.
asphalt plant.
It was supposed to go to the asphalt plant.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I delivered it
Okay.
to the concrete
Gotcha.
plant. And there was a bunch of other trucks. So I was the only JFW truck delivering sand over there, and it was a pretty bad mistake.
Did it dawn on you though? Did you dump it?
I dumped it.
Oh, okay.
Somebody's like, "You sure that goes there?" Yeah, Central. So,
we did have a guy that did that all day one day
Oh, man.
and then turned in the tickets. You guys
Right.
remember that?
Oh,
Yeah. I don't think they paid us for it. I can't remember, but for like 5 loads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we didn't get paid, Dave. I remember that one.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, we got some construction going on at Plant 12. There's only 1 lane in and 1 lane out. Super important that we communicate going in and out of there. Announce yourself on the radios, kind of like if you're going against the grain here. You know, if you're coming in or if you're leaving the yard in the afternoon, you're announcing, truck leaving the south entrance, or, if you're coming in the morning, you're saying coming in the south entrance. Just communicate so we don't get bottleneck up over there, because that would be bad to start making that turn and get caught just blocking,
Well, and the thing is-
northbound chambers. there.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, Jam. But it's not just us coming in and out. It's all the mixers.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have any communication with them. So
Right.
it's got to be a visual decision between the two of you, whoever's sitting there. And, my suggestion is if you're coming out, take control of the situation, make eye contact with that truck coming in, either wave them in or make it clear you're coming out. Make that visual communication piece is key.
Agreed.
Yeah, the art of the wave.
Yeah.
Is that who was on the traffic guy? Jason Luber.
Jason Luber,
Oh, yeah.
He
the
won
art of the wave.
right. His big pet peeve was the art of the wave. We've lost that,
Well, I have to agree with that, Jim. Remember back in the day, you'd pass every single end dump and they would wave.
Right.
And now they don't. Occasionally we'll get away from a Calabrese guy because we're passing in the canyon, but it's definitely gone down a different road these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The CBUs as well.
CBs too, yeah.
As far as
Just
intercompanies.
a quick, you're looking good back that way, that sort of thing.
None of that.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Our culture screams for more diversity and, all these other groups and I don't know, walks of life and all this other stuff, but we've lost the art of the wave. How is that possible that you've lost something of being friendly, but you're supposed to be more friendly?
Or the finger, right?
Yeah.
No,
They
not
just
that finger.
identify that they're waving.
They're too busy texting. So
Yeah, no doubt. And I think actually that has contributed to the lost art. It's all of a cell phone society now. It's not interactive anymore physically, or
Yeah, good point,
It's,
Dave.
it's like they'd rather just shoot a text.
Right.
you
Good
know?
point.
why are you guys texting each other? You're sitting right next to each other. Huh. All right. This is Driver Appreciation Week. We are pretty excited here. JFW, we are doing 5 raffles every day. 5 giveaways, I should say. The winners from the 16th was Pedro Sotelo, Uriel Salas. I know he came and got his gift. Gilly Rodriguez, Matt Cummins, and Evaristo Rosales. So if any of you have not been by the main yard yet to come pick up your prize, please do so, or, perhaps we'll send it over to you. Yesterday's winners was Uriel Molina. So I could just put 2 and 2 together. If your name is Uriel, you're going to win.
Right.
Nelson Rivera, Shane Fredrickson, Sergio Portillo, and Richard Trujillo were all yesterday's winners. So
Nice.
come up to the dispatch office and claim your prize.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Yep. This Friday, we're going to give out our cups and shirts. If you've never got a JFW cup, they're pretty fancy. I like them. Could always use some new shirts. And then there was a survey monkey sent out by Flood and Peterson for benefits. Make sure you check your junk mail, because we're going to do a raffle of the names that take the survey and give out gift cards. Pretty sure those will be Amazon gift cards?
Mm-hmm.
Who doesn't love that? You and your primates. It is important to fill out so we know what benefits you want and what you need help with benefits for, and Paycom. Any other suggestions you may have. Libby will send out a reminder at the end of the week and again next week, but we believe the deadline will be 9/27. So.
Yeah, and please do the survey when you get it. And like Jam said, check your junk mail. But, the questions, we all reviewed the questions. They're pretty poignant as far as getting to what we can do to help you and how you feel about our health insurance. And I think that's an important piece. We change year to year because of price. At one point, we'd really like to stick with the same, I'm going to call it a vendor, with Cigna there, because they offer good care. And I think the NICE program has been popular also,
Sweet.
but that's, that's a cost of, $40 per person. Are we getting the bang for our buck out of that? So please, when you get the survey, fill it out. Let's get your opinion.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is insurance we've had this year has been better than last year.
Yeah. Kaiser not to dog Kaiser, but if you're not an advocate for yourself, you can't get through the Kaiser system.
Kaiser's rough.
Yeah. I mean, you have to know the system. Helpful if you know it.
Have you guys seen any numbers yet from Cigna?
No, that last meeting, so still no numbers.
Yeah.
No.
I guess that wasn't that long ago that we met. So
Yeah. And I guess we'll call it three quarters through the year. So we need that last little bit to get some decent numbers. And I know because we've talked about it on the podcast, some of our teammates have had serious health issues, and those are driving some of the numbers, but we've got some successes with those problems.
Sure.
The NICE program has really bit into the costs of the insurance.
Sure.
Right. Some of the care in that's what it was for. And it worked great.
Remember, NICE is NICE is free for the driver, right?
For the driver.
Employees.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
for the employees.
And their families.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I mentioned the $40. That's our cost.
That's out of pocket.
Yeah, out of pocket. But I think we've gotten great bang for our buck, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love seeing people make their appointments and come up here for their appointment right here in this room.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
though.
we joke about it, but you might not want to know what's been on this table.
Not where the donuts are. It's the other part of the table. So,
I don't
All
know.
right.
Those are good donuts.
all right. So as we said, we got Scott and Joe from CDL303. We found out about these guys from one of our drivers, Dustin Curria. He saw the piece you guys were on in regard to the truck coming through I-70 recently that lost his load of pipe and killed the family going the opposite direction. Right. He was like, oh man, these guys, they're like us. They want more mountain training. You should try to see if you could get them on the podcast. So here we are. Cool. We could tell instantly you guys are passionate about truck safety. I'm curious, where does this passion come from and what is your mission for CDL303?
Well, my passion comes from after my basic education and the lack of, specialized mountain training, and then also having a daughter at 17 and a senior over there at Northfield High School, and all of her buddies going up skiing on the weekends. And we just had another accident there in Glenwood Canyon.
Yep.
Guy rolled it off on the lower deck. Yep. It's unacceptable, Yep. So that's where my passion comes from, is having my daughter on the road.
I agree.
And having the CDL now and being able to call these guys out on the fly,
right.
And knowing that they're not being safe drives me insane.
Yeah, I think we have an opportunity. I mean, it's everybody's responsibility on the highway to be safe, but I can't do anything about a guy in an Acura brake checking a semi,
right?
Which you see all the time. And I think, what are you doing? But what we can affect is our industry. We have an opportunity here to actually save lives. We can have a direct effect on people getting home safe to their families every night. And I can think of no higher calling. I just think that all things being equal, if you're in a business where you're put in a position where you can save somebody's life, you got to do it.
Right. Yeah, why wouldn't you, right?
Exactly. And the way, to Scott's point, the fact that there is no other specialized mountain training. We call it grad school for truckers. These are, especially within the state, we have a lot of really experienced guys who know what they're doing in the mountains. 65 to 70% of the accidents on the I-70 corridor are caused by out-of-state drivers.
I just tried to look that number up. Yep. That's what I was doing on my phone. I knew it was a very large number.
Yeah, I was at the regional safety rendezvous up in Blackhawk in July, and Captain John Hahn from State Police was there, and he threw out a bunch of numbers, a bunch of different stats, but that one really struck me. The state troopers talk all the time about being in the middle of the blizzard, up in the mountains, and these guys jump out of their trucks in flip-flops and Hawaiian shirts,
right,
with no chains and no idea how to put them on anyway.
Right.
So our outreach is not only to the local fleets where we think we can kind of spearhead this effort, but also to the fleets in the flatlands, because that's where a lot of this comes from. So I just, we were talking earlier. I came from a career in finance and risk management before I started with Scott. And in that career, I never saw direct impact of what I was doing. And it drove me crazy. And in this career, like I said, we have a chance to actually save lives. And I mean, you ask me what my passion is, it's pretty simple. It's nice to have that goal.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. If you think about it, sorry, Jim, every time we jump in a truck, I mean, you may not look at it as like, wow, I'm doing a pre-trip, saving a life today. But every time we jump in that truck, if you're doing it the right way, you are essentially saving lives.
Absolutely.
That's a great outlook on it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Joe or Scott, off the test I just took, 2.7 driver deaths per day, right?
Correct.
Was what it was. So, I mean, let that sink in, you guys. 2.7 drivers, and there was more deaths, but this is just drivers, die per day in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, that's 3 people a day. I can't imagine that.
Now the numbers are off the charts.
Yeah. 2.5 times more likely to die behind the wheel of a truck than in law enforcement.
Exactly. And
incredible.
I wrote that down, Joe. Why? I that was one of my notes. Do you guys, with all you've done, why?
Well, the one of the stats that really jumps out to me is that most of the semi-truck crashes in the United States are single vehicle accidents that result in fatalities. Rollover accidents in semi-trucks are the highest fatality rate of any. And that goes back to speed and negotiating curves and negotiating these difficult geometries in mountains and construction zones, stuff like that. So, while we need buy-in from the passenger car side, the responsibility lies with the truckers, with the drivers. It really does.
Yeah, you guys probably don't know much about us, but we train and we train and we train and we feel like we overtrain. And then we're sometimes we're thinking, okay, we fed these guys with a fire hose. How much information are they missing? But everything you're talking about and going back through that, I mean, I know I just celebrated my anniversary of 42 years and I don't want to brag, but I feel like I should have a pretty good grip on what I'm doing. And still from the test I took, I learned 3 or 4 new things I never thought about.
That's great.
And I was like,
great.
that's a good test.
Yeah, that's very rewarding for us.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing I teach in the basic Class A is you guys got to create a barrier between your regular car driving and your truck driving. If you start blending those two, you're going to get at the end of an 11-hour day, you're going to roll that trailer over to the front of someone's hood.
Yep.
You got to have a barrier between the two. You can't blend them.
No, Scott, and we talk a lot because our trucks have become so advanced between the disc brakes, the engine brakes, the automatic transmissions. Newer guys drive them like they're cars.
Right.
Because they're more like cars than they ever were like trucks.
Right.
Not the trucks we started out in, not to go old school, but my truck was a turd. My first truck was a turd compared to what we have now. And how you had to drive it. But great point, Scott, about, the crossover between your car and a truck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just can't.
No, you can't.
How did you guys link up? What brought you together on CDL303?
I was selling a set of tires for a Volkswagen Vanagon about 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And this knucklehead showed up at my door to buy them.
I was literally a tire kicker.
And he took a look at the tires and he said, "Nah, these aren't the ones I want." I was like, okay.
No, but you being from Louisiana, I think you mentioned you're a catfish fry.
Yeah, that's right. I used to throw a catfish festival every summer.
Right. And
because I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana.
Right, and I asked if it involved beer, and you said yes.
And then we became friends, and over the years, we've just really around Volkswagens and wrenching and all that kind of stuff. We got to be good friends. And then I was saying earlier, we met up actually at a Volkswagen thing. I don't know, a little over a year ago, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
Scott said, "How's work?" And I said, "I hate it. They're killing me. Can't stand it. Same old, same old. I was never meant to do this." And he said, "Well, you should come co-own my diesel truck driving school with me." And I said, that's a ridiculous idea. And then I sat on it for about 6 weeks. And I had a meeting with my boss at my job. And he said, how are you? And I said, I quit.
Wow.
And I walked away from 28 years in finance and showed up at Scott's doorstep and said, all right, let's do it. I mean, here we are. It's been a whirlwind. I talk about drinking from the fire hose. There were some times out there north of DIA, sitting behind the wheel of a Western Star trying to double clutch, thinking, what in the hell am I doing? But it's working out. It turns out we work well together. We have a shared kind of vision and goal, and we play off each other. He's Nebraska farm boy. I'm North Louisiana redneck, and somehow we make it work.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
And I think, we don't have a ton of experience. I've just been driving since, 2021. And I feel like I come to it with, a fresher perspective and someone that hasn't been on the road for decades, and just a fresh approach. I think that's beneficial.
Yeah, they say learning beats knowing.
Yeah.
My former career was all about risk and risk assessment. And it's amazing how much it dovetailed with what we're doing here, and also with marketing. And I'm kind of a blabber. I can talk to anybody. So I've met everybody in the business, and I'm on the CMCA Safety Council now. Very proud of that.
Good.
But we figured out what our objectives were. We met up with the Road Aware guys. We kind of had a two-pronged approach at the beginning. We were looking at two different avenues that the larger schools are not addressing. And one of those was providing CDL training to underserved communities, women, minorities, anybody who maybe couldn't get in the door somewhere else. And then the other side of it was mountain training. And let's do the legwork and see what takes off. And the mountain training has really become the thing. Although we graduated some diverse folks through our program and through the CDL program, which has been great. But the mountain training has really blown up, and that's turned into our primary focus.
Nice. So do you got a lot of companies from out of state, like flying drivers out here? Is it mostly local companies, or?
We're working with Road Aware, which I guess we'll get to. That's our partner in this. They're working with a freight marketing company who some of the guys from there took our course and said, we want to take this national. We want to take this out and sell it. So those guys are working with the major fleets, the bigger fleets.
Gotcha.
And then we're local. We really, as I was saying, we want to spearhead the effort with the local fleets.
The mountains are right here.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. And it's right in our backyard. I mean, it just, it's just locked in. So that's really kind of what we're doing. Currently working with a hauler in Phoenix, bunch of drivers signed up there, and then in talks with some of the major fleets as well. So really just getting the word out.
Yeah.
And lots of support, even from CDOT. We were told by the kind of the senior people at CDOT, they said, we've wanted this for years, but it's going to have to come from the private sector. It's not, if we rely on the government to come up with a mandated mountain training program, it's going to take a decade.
Right.
They started the LDT in 2011. That's how long that took.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it came around 10 years later.
That's crazy.
Just to give you an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. When I started researching, I was like, on the website looking, I'm like, wait, what? Mountain driving training, business to business. I thought it was cool. I was like, I've never seen this before. So definitely you have a unique selling proposition. Yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So you guys started in December 23. Was CDL school mandatory at this time?
Yes. And the CDL303 actually started a couple of years ago. We started the initiative for mountain training in December of 23.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And when did CDL303 start?
Oh, man. Probably about a year ago, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I worked with a bunch of older government employees and stuff and business. And then once we met Brian, it just started shoving off into the mountain scene.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's longer than 2 years because you were established before I got here.
Yeah.
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 And you said the mountain part's blowing up. So that's
a lot of talk, a lot of attention,
right.
Media attention. I've been kind of stunned by how many people know about it, how many people want to talk about it. Cause I go to all the CMCA meetings, and
Right.
actually went to a state troopers retirement party a couple of weeks ago. I never would have, and it was cool, but that's not something I would have expected. Went out to headquarters and I walk into the museum out there and I looked around and I said, all right, 75 cops and me, but all cool guys, you know, and, you know all of them now, and they're all very supportive of the program. We've
That's
had a
awesome.
couple of those guys take the course. So
Good.
you know,
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. They've been supportive.
yes.
Yeah.
Good guys.
Who are you guys seeing coming through the regular truck driving school part? Who are you seeing come through?
Well, right now we're not approved to be a school, so we're just business to business.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
so Boulder government employees and, you know, people like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we just resubmitted our paperwork to DPOS, Division of Private Occupational Services,
Sure.
under the Department of Higher Ed. So, yeah, hopefully get that back this week and see if there's any other tweaks and keep rolling on that. And then we'll be a school.
Gotcha.
And then we got to turn around and do some more paperwork to include the mountain training, the online course. So,
Gotcha.
you know, that's just business to business for now.
So
And
is the school approved on a federal level? Since
No,
a
it's
federal
on the
license?
state level, Department of Higher Ed.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, you can't just be some fly-by-night trucking school and
Sure.
teaching guys after hours and throwing them out on the road.
Sure. I
It's
just
a
wondered
lot of
because
layer.
our license has all the federal restrictions on it.
Yep.
So
well,
it
we're
was more at a federal
FMCSA
level.
members, and we have to submit to FMCSA for everything. But right now, how the business model has been to this point has been business to business.
Gotcha.
But then to go through the DPOS stuff, man, they are thorough, and
Very
for a very
thorough.
good reason. You know, you don't want those fly-by-night schools out there, but
Right.
Yeah.
man, they gave us a list of things they wanted a year ago.
Yeah.
And we submitted everything. They came back and said, you know, you got a typo here. Send it all back. 4 weeks later, we get it back.
Yeah, it was
You know.
mostly matching up the theory hours from the LDT to what we offer in cab, you know, for all the parking maneuvers and
Yeah,
pre-trip.
they're focused
they
on the
just wanna make
syllabus.
sure.
Really, they just want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're documenting everything that we do as far as our training program.
Yeah.
So
They've been responsive and really good and helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
good to work
So
with.
no complaints.
Now, as far as the drivers that come through the school, does everybody graduate, or have you had some guys where you're like, yeah, you
Now,
should-
all these company people, they've all been pretty dialed in.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I mean, my last kid, he was shifting better than I was. I was like, oh, I'm just going to watch this all day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's
nice
really,
level.
you know, what we've gotten from businesses is look, I know how to drive a truck. They say I have to have the schooling before I take the test. And if they've got those basics, then Scott gets them trained up pretty quick. It's really, you know, the pre and post trip inspections. A lot of these guys have been driving for a while, but you know, they can't identify the parts on the truck. They don't know what
Right.
they're supposed to be looking for. They're not prepared to go in and have a tester really grill them on it.
Mhm.
And, you know, and a lot of the smaller things, you know, you can't hop a curb, you know,
Yeah.
you can't roll back at a light. I mean, just all these kind of little things that you don't learn, kind of see to your pants.
Right.
You know, we just put those tweaks on it for them. And that's been great with the business to business, because don't get a lot of really green people except for me.
Yeah. And then, you know, if one is, you know, got more experience than the other, we can go ahead and borrow some of his time, you know, and then get the other, you know, guy or girl to catch up.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it works out well.
The trucks that you train in, do they like the sleeper? Did you put a bench back there? Like,
I just have a Western Star 2013, and it's got the smaller sleeper, so the bench is really nice.
just a bench.
Yeah, it's easy
Got
to
it.
swap out.
Nice.
I put in some memory foam to
nice.
get a little cush.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wanted to get into some stats I picked up from going through your mountain driving course online. The one thing that really stuck out to me, made me kind of sad, is 42,795 traffic-related deaths in the U.S. in 2022.
Yeah.
That's 42,000, over almost 43,000 families got a phone call that their loved one has passed away in a piece of metal on the highway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
I think of it as, I mean, that's a sellout at Coors Field, you know,
Yeah.
and that's
Exactly, Joe. Yeah.
when I try to picture that number of people, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
you guys, you guys already touched on this one, but more drivers die driving trucks than in any other profession, and you compared it to law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. And then this one, most of the time if a driver dies, it comes with other deaths attached to it. That means he had an accident with other vehicles and those people died as well. He or she, I should say. So, yeah, that's really scary stuff. I mean, that's just kind of makes you realize the seriousness of what we do. I did bring up 3 accidents I wanted to talk to you guys about. One of you guys sent me a reminder yesterday. It was already in the notes, but the first one is a very famous one, the I-70 Colorado Mills accident, right? That was a guy that lost his brakes coming down the hill, killed 4 people, I think, and injured lots more. The next one was Monique Trucking. Are you guys familiar with that?
Oh, yeah.
285.
Yep.
Another flatbed accident. Lost his load of pipe, killed a 65-year-old man.
Right.
The I-70 Wheat Ridge accident is the one that you guys did the piece with. Was it 9 News?
9 News.
Yep, 9 News.
Okay. And how did they reach out to? How did you get involved?
I reached out to Next and Kyle Clark.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
found their email and just sent them,
Your thoughts?
quick little thoughts. Yeah, because we're sick of seeing this.
Gotcha. And then,
And it went quick. Yeah, we're shooting that next week.
wow.
So it really worked out well. And we're on there twice. They did an update on that zone.
Mhm.
They've had 166 accidents there since they did that lane shift.
Wow.
Since what,
160.
December 23?
Yeah.
When I saw that stat, I was like, oh my God, that construction's only been there a year.
Yeah.
And 166 wrecks
Yeah.
accidents, not
Yeah.
wrecks. but-
Yeah.
Well, yeah, in that section, even if you're paying attention, and I mean, in my F-150, it's that off camber and that
Yeah,
jog.
that's right.
I mean,
That's right. The ruts in the road
bounce
catch
you
you.
over.
Yeah, it's that
Eastbound
peak.
is terrible, and it's the twist.
Right.
You're on 2 different
Yeah.
lanes.
Yeah.
The trailer's leaning one direction, the tractor's
Mhm.
leaning another direction as you're navigating those S turns eastbound.
Right.
Oh yeah, and if you got a head of steam coming out of the mountains,
Right.
Yeah.
trouble.
It was a total fluke that I got that Brisk trailer, Yeah, I see
and that
those guys
footage.
24/7, man. If there's anybody that needs mount training, man, it's all those guys,
Right. Yeah.
They do it day in, day out.
Right.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that day in, day out will catch you as well.
Yeah.
When you become so routine, you think you're fine. And
Right.
You're not.
Autopilot.
You have all these little initial things that you're not paying attention to,
Mm-hmm.
and it sneaks up on you. We talk about it all the time. My wife works for the Bureau of Reclamation, and it's a division of land management. And, they go in and they do rescues with people, and they have a guy that has harnessed up and jumped out of helicopters for 20 years. And one day he harnessed up, but forgot to clip in,
Oh, man.
dove out of the helicopter for the last time.
No kidding.
Just that simple,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and yet that routine, right? He was perfect until then.
Mm-hmm.
And, people around him, he
No.
forgot to clip one clip and off he went,
Oh, man. Wow.
So it's those things, even, like Jim was saying, he's done this for 42 years and learned something off that course. We say every day there's something new. We pick something up. We learn something new. We see something, we've just added 6 super dumps to our fleet this year, and it's a new division for us. There's new things, and we're adjusting constantly with our safety team. We've got our safety team on site doing a little something different with them today.
Right.
So, there's just all these details to
Yeah.
what we do. And, even when you think you have the details and the routine down, you still have to step back and go, okay, is this correct? Did I do this right? Have I checked off the list? Or, mentally, did I do it?
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
there's, even when you think you're a professional at it, you just have to stop sometimes,
Yeah.
recheck yourself.
And,
Yeah.
and remember what's at stake.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was running my flatbed, it was a different load every day, every other day.
Right.
Really had to go to it fresh,
How does this
Never
tie
seen
down?
this before. I got
Yeah.
wine processing equipment. I'm running from Sacramento up to Hood River, Oregon.
Yeah.
Do I have this all tied down, strapped correctly?
Yeah.
Flung? Yeah. It adds up. Every day was new when you're independent.
Yeah, I think listening to you earlier, Scott, you taking the truck up, empty, you said when you first got your truck, because when you graduated driving school, they missed that course or didn't finish that. So you went up and did the,
Yeah, I just did it on my
test,
own.
right?
I mean, I'm independent owner op. It's all right in my lap.
Exactly.
Everything.
Exactly. But I was just thinking when you mentioned that, how hungry for knowledge you were. And yet if I go up there, how much I would take for granted, you know, because I've done it before. But again, you said it, Joe, what's at stake, you guys?
Right.
I mean, I guess that's my, you know, the accidents we've had and stuff. And we try to tell everybody here, what's at stake? And we say it all the time. What if?
You know, I got a tag on that, Jim, because I'm sitting here thinking about some of the experiences I've had. I think all of these drivers that come from other parts of the country, maybe they come from Florida or New Jersey, and they take our mountains for granted. They just think, oh, it's just a little dip, you know, I'll be over them in 20 miles.
Yep.
You know, I have a heck of a story. You guys will enjoy this story. We were all coming back from Pagosa Springs one morning. We went over there with some infield mix for high school. And I think there was 4 of us, right? And we preload these loads. So we leave at the crack of dawn, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning. And so beautiful summer day, we had dumped out and we were on our way home and we were coming back on Wolf Creek Pass. Okay. Big pass.
Oh, yeah.
And all of a sudden we come up on a truck that's completely on its side across the road, blocking the whole road. It was a moving van, and we were the first vehicles on scene. And so there's this guy running around in the road and his legs all bleeding, right? So we jump out and we're like, are you okay? What happened? What happened? And he was like, I wasn't going to go off that cliff. Oh, man. The dude overcorrected and rolled the truck on the side, right?
Yeah.
And Wolf Creek, if you've been up on Wolf Creek, it's mountain on one side and drop on the other side. So the dude jumped out of the truck.
Oh,
wow.
Because he was afraid they were going to go over the side, you know. And you guys, we were all up there, me, Captain Ron, Ed, I mean, the whole crew of us, right? Yeah. The coolest thing, though, was over the next 3 hours, one tow truck guy came up and righted that whole truck.
Oh, wow.
One tow truck, one guy. It wasn't his first rodeo.
It's
you know,
those guys from Pagosa Springs.
It was.
Oh, yeah.
And he was cool as a cucumber.
Yep.
You know, one sheriff showed up, and then within, I would say 2.5, 3 hours, we were on our way. But the truck was a moving van from New Jersey. That's the key, you guys, with your online stuff. I hope you can reach out to companies all across the country, because those people will have to go across our mountains at some point, whether it's our mountains or Wyoming mountains or Montana mountains. And they have no clue. They take them for granted.
Yeah. It won't help with the other mountains, Dave, but the CMCA did get passed a new ruling, and with all the new technology and stuff, and I forget when it's going to take place, and maybe this is something you can dive into, Joe, is with the Qualcomm systems in the trucks, the minute you cross the state line, because it knows where you're at, it's going to let you know, okay, you're going to need chains. What's your route? It's going to start feeding you all this information and questions, Dave. And then it's going to, you know, tell you to pull over and stop, navigate your route.
Right.
It's going to let you know where the 45 mile an hour zones are. I mean, it's a pretty comprehensive little plan, and it's pretty kick ass.
I like that.
But I don't know when it starts. I just learned about it 2 nights ago from Troy Hill from Hill Petroleum. So shout out to Troy.
Yeah. Sometime in 2025 is the last I heard.
Is it? God, that seems like a long time away, right?
3-4 months away.
You know, like our system, we're not Qualcomm. So is it going to be on a platform that everyone can get? Because we're only tracking our own trucks, right? We're not on, it has no way to acknowledge us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's still not going to be foolproof, right? It's still not going to go to other states, Dave, because it's a state adopted program. This is a CDOT program, but I don't know. Will it get 50% of the people?
Yeah.
You know,
every bit helps.
You know, I remember years ago, I ran up to Seattle and picked up an oversized loader, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, you're going to go over cabbage coming home. You got to go over cabbage. And I was like worked up, like I'm 130,000 pounds. I'm over something. I'm over length. I'm over width. I'm overweight. I'm like, I got to go over cabbage. You know, by the time it was said and done, I'm saying it, right? Like, I got to go over. And you guys, I started down cabbage, and I'm like, well, clearly I'm going way too slow.
Yeah, when does cabbage start?
Right, exactly. And I guess, growing up here in Colorado and navigating, Vail and Eisenhower, gosh, there's just a frontage road out of Idaho Springs that we used to run all the time. That's one of the steepest, longest paved roads in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And we would navigate it 8 times a day out of the quarry we were hauling out of, and needless to say, I got halfway down cabbage and I looked at my wife was with me and I'm like, I think I got to go a little faster. We're holding up a lot of traffic here, and this really isn't that big. This is more like lettuce. It's not cabbage. Well, I was prepared.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I can go down it as slow as I want 100 times. I can only go down it too fast once.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah, we did all the CDOT safety meetings all last week and the week before, all 5 regions, and one thing that got me thinking was the overhead signage, the CDOT signage that tells you, if there's an incline coming up. Why can't they remind the truckers service brakes are not for descending? You should be using your engine brake or being in the right gear. You got to use your engine brake.
Great point. We
talk
about that.
Or is that a liability issue for them to recommend that?
Yeah.
It's, why don't they have that?
Our goal is to come down and never use your service brake.
Yeah,
that's our
totally.
goal. And we have the equipment to do that. Our equipment is capable of that.
Yeah.
Right. You just have to drive that. I mean, we were taught that way growing up in this business. We had to put our own brakes on. We had to replace our own brake drums. We had to install our own brake cams.
We had to adjust them.
It was a shitload of work.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We were the guys that were driving the trucks and make, go 100,000 and then 150,000 miles before we had to do it. Where, we've got drivers with disc brakes right now that they're not getting 50,000 miles out of it.
Man.
Really?
Way over driving those trucks. And, Jim and I have had this, we've all had this conversation many times that they are so like a car now.
Yeah.
You put it in D and away you go.
Yeah.
You mash the throttle and you let off the throttle and you mash the brake.
Yep.
Right. And those engine brakes on Cummins, PACCAR, Mack, it doesn't matter what engine you have. Those engine brakes are more powerful today than any brake ever made.
Yep.
They are way more than capable of. We can navigate any hill and not touch a brake.
Yep. We have a section in the training about compression release.
Our engineer, Garth, he just did a whole white paper on cost savings and better braking.
Oh,
I mean, it was double at the end of the year of what you spend on bad braking.
Yes.
No, what's crazy is my first company I drove for was Stevens Transport. They didn't have Jake brakes. And you had to learn how to come down a hill using light, steady brake pressure. So you'd have to be in the right gear with 5 to 7 PSI of applied brake pressure. That's all service brakes. And you talk about cat, we weren't allowed over these passes. You weren't winter, summer, it didn't matter. You're not going over I-70 corridor. But you talk about cabbage and then what was it? The Grapevine out in California.
Yeah.
We'd come down to Grapevine. And that seemed like a fire. It was a long time ago, but it seemed like forever.
Right.
With 5 to 7 PSI, and then you get to a spot where you slow down and it's like you want to take your foot off the brake. Well, that allows the air into the brake. Well, guess what? You look back and there's a little bit of smoke coming out of there. You know what I mean? So I just don't understand how they would not have Jake brakes. And I think it's the same way today for those guys. They still don't have Jake brakes.
Bree came over from CR England and she said she didn't have Jakes on her CR England truck.
That's not uncommon for the flat fleets.
We bought some trucks from Kansas City or St. Louis, Missouri, and they didn't have Jakes. And we bought them and didn't even realize it.
Oh, wow.
I was like,
where's Jake brakes?
We need to put engine brakes on these trucks.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't even know. Is that something you can add?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much money do you want to spend on Jake brakes?
My Western Star.
Every penny.
Yeah, my Western Star is an oil-filled truck, so I got everything.
Yeah.
So I brought up those 3 accidents, and then just 2 days ago, you brought up the truck that flipped over in Glenwood Canyon.
Yeah, yesterday.
Off the top roadway onto the bottom roadway. Luckily, nobody, I don't know about the driver, but he didn't land on a family, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, that was 9:30 in the morning.
Did that driver make it?
Yeah, he's in the hospital.
Okay.
Was he out of state?
That, they're always short on that information. It kind of drives me nuts.
I would bet on
it.
Well, and in Glenwood, not that it makes a big difference, but they've put in the left lane restriction, and I was through there a few weeks ago, and the signage is, I mean, every
Obvious.
eighth of a mile.
It is well marked.
Obvious.
Yeah. So if you're speeding through there, then you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
With something like that, I think driver's side steer blowout, that shot him over that, because Big John there at Mount Recovery, he just plowed their big tow truck into that bridge
Saw a little
pillar.
clip on that.
And he blew that driver's side steer out. Totally, man, out of the blue.
Right.
So tell us how your mountain driving course could have prevented all three of these accidents.
Training. If you look at the I-70 crash at Denver West, the first one you mentioned, he had several opportunities to stop that truck before he got all the way down the hill. He went past the runaway truck ramp. He missed that C470 exit. He would have launched the truck, but he would have saved some lives.
Right.
One of the theories there is that, and one of the misconceptions we're trying to deal with is, Colorado State Police will not ticket you if you use a runaway truck ramp.
Right.
They're there for the drivers. I mean, you got to pay tow fees and any damage to the truck, of course, but it's not illegal to use those, because there's some speculation that he thought that he would get in trouble if he used a runaway truck ramp. And he was not trained properly.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. It's all about speed. It's all about knowing how to use your engine brake. And a lot of these guys, they're just undertrained. So yeah, I think in these kind of cases, that definitely our training would help.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you know, I was all this time, because I'm all about the training too, I always question if that guy could read the signs, because he was from Texas or somewhere.
Yeah, he was Puerto Rican American.
Yeah. Do you think he could read English?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, that's a pretty good picture of a truck on the sign, and 4% grade on a slow.
I don't
and it's
think
on a flashing yellow sign.
I don't think he knew how bad it was.
Yeah.
I don't think
when you're caught in the moment.
Underestimated it, didn't he?
And it's a lot of local people even don't realize this, but the I-70 corridor from the Eisenhower Tunnel to Denver is the most dangerous corridor in the interstate system.
Wow, I didn't know
the
that.
most dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
There are more accidents, injuries, fatalities on that stretch of interstate than anywhere else in the country.
Well, I know
Short
about
100
20 years
troopers out there.
Yeah, 20 years
that
ago, they
corridor.
raised that concrete barrier up down on Dead's Man Turns at the very bottom, down by the Morrison exit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're redoing the runaway truck ramp.
They got
They
that all
are.
done.
Yeah,
Is it done?
Yeah,
They
it
had
looks
to
great.
just
They
finished it,
beefed up that whole wall for the curve, so you could basically just plow into that and grind yourself to a halt.
You ride it out like an HO
Yeah.
track.
I went up over that 10 Sleep, Wyoming section over there and dropped into, what was that, Douglas or Buffalo, Wyoming. And they didn't have any room to work with to put in extended ramps. It was all that cable system.
Oh,
You just plow into those cables and you just start snapping.
Yeah.
that is
and
just
then
carnage,
slowing you
isn't
down.
it? Those
Yeah.
kills
Yeah.
are just carnage.
I'd never seen that style before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I rolled Wolf Creek Pass a couple times and it's fine. It's got to be on top of it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it too. You just, you guys go over that in the course of how rewarding it could be to
Yeah.
do it the right way.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to go up there and be scared.
Yeah.
And Super Dave, if you get a chance to take the course, they start off with a section of Wolf Creek Pass, and I think it says "Welcome to the Wolf."
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the only pass I've experienced at the top. They tell you your weight and then your recommended speed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you're 80,000, they want you to go like 15 miles an hour or
Do
something.
you play the song on your course? That's all.
What song? What?
Way up on the Great Divide.
Sing it,
That's what-
Dave.
Yeah, I
Sing
want to
it.
say, who is it that sings it? McCoy
You
or
got
something.
me.
like
Oh.
that. I can't think. It's an old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wolf Creek
All right.
Pass.
Yeah.
He goes down, around, downtown Pagosa Springs.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I got to look that
Has to
up.
wake up the guy out of the sleeper and says, "Earl, we're gonna crash."
Well, there's our dark humor of the morning.
right.
I guess I started it off.
Yeah. The videos they have in the course are just are amazing, Super Dave. And I guess because I'm visual and the videos we have of things that go on, they're just great stuff. And one of them up on Wolf Creek, they have a truck coming around the corner, and the other truck just loses control and goes right off the cliff.
Yeah.
And they back out with drones or whatever, but they just show the trailer wadded up at the bottom of the cliff. And there's just good stuff. And I know I told you in talking to these guys this morning, the last one there, which you guys says on social media, but is it Thule? Is that how you say that?
Tuella.
Tuella?
Yeah.
Utah. I mean, with a belly dump going through town and
tandem belly dump.
Yeah, tandem belly.
Right.
Yep. And it's just
Yeah, they run those in Utah.
Yeah.
Two trailers, two bellies.
yeah.
I had a guy, this was quite a while ago, he used to haul coal over in Utah in one of those double bellies. And I think he was like 145,000 pounds. But you don't back those up. And he got over here, he couldn't back up to save his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Wolf Creek Pass, that video, that was a real focal point of the training. I mean, very sad, very tragic, but a lot can be learned from that. My partners in Phoenix, Brian Bullock, the guy who owns RoadAware, they do crash analysis for fleets also as one of the services they provide.
Okay.
So he did a full analysis of trying to get into the mind of that driver and what he was thinking coming down the other side, why he missed that runaway truck ramp that was just a third of a mile from the hairpin. He probably was on his service brakes, and the grade is not terrible coming down to that hairpin until you get right before it. So he probably thought he had his service brakes, passed the runaway truck ramp, and then hit his brakes and realized that he didn't have anything. And he hit that hairpin at 60 miles per hour.
Wow.
Wow. And it was over.
Then he plowed the wall so hard that slowed him down the majority. And that's why he ended up in a crumple down there on the face, on the rock.
Instead
that wall slowed him down so much. But I mean, he probably died on impact.
Yeah. Basically leapt the wall.
Yeah.
I mean, from the video.
Yeah.
Scary.
Well,
I'm surprised it got caught up. I'm surprised the truck got caught up where it did, because it seemed like
how far down?
Yeah.
A couple notes that I wanted to just bring up with you guys, and Super Dave, you mentioned, or I guess Jam, you did about the smoke in the training. Smoke starts at 500 degrees is what they say in the training. And then so I was just curious. So 500 degrees is about where a self-cleaning oven cleans itself at. And everything turns to ashes. If you've ever ran your self-cleaning oven.
Yeah, boy, there's nothing left, is there?
And I think it goes up a little bit more than that, but that's where the brakes are sitting at, you guys. And I wanted that realization of, same as a self-cleaning oven that's burning everything.
Yeah.
And this is where it stopped at. And then I think the other stat was at 1200 degrees, you've lost 38% of your brakes.
Right.
And then the other one, I
at what temperature?
1200 degrees. So I think that was one of them. Am I right, you guys? Or is it more than that? Because 1200 seemed, I might have
seen
that sounds hot.
Seems like it should be melting steel.
Yeah. And that's where they were like, you have no brakes left.
Yeah.
And then the other stat that I'd never thought about all these years is when you heat that drum, it expands, it gets bigger. And all my experience, I've never thought about that drum getting bigger, But when it got bigger, you've lost all your brake adjustment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're talking about that little bit of slack adjuster movement, and you've expanded that drum. You're screwed right off the bat.
Yeah.
And then you have these guys just manually applying the trailer brakes.
Yes.
And cooking them because it's a leased trailer.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are insane.
We've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
King Supers trailers, like the lease guys that run the King Supers trailers.
Brisk and that.
Brisk, that's what they use to stop.
Man.
Because they repair the trailers. Like you're saying, it's a lease trailer.
Wow.
And it's so sickening or so maddening.
Yeah. Now there's that Instagram video of the guy that cooked his brakes so hard, then he started his trailer on fire. So it was all burnt up along the wall on the sides, all the way up above his trailer wheels. And then he was still apparently driving with it still on fire. And then he took it down there to the TA there in Wheat Ridge where the accident was, and he dumped it.
Yes.
I think he left it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
had heard that.
Yeah.
Yes.
At the truck stop or just in there?
Another guy on Instagram comments has said, I saw that trailer on the side of the road, man. It looked like he just dumped it.
Huh.
And that's why I couldn't get hot dog buns that week.
Yeah.
We have a saying here when we see a guy coming off the hill, we'll get on our company radio and say, "We got a smoker."
Yeah.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. And the other one, guys, help me out on that, is that the DOT requires, I think I wrote that one down. What did I do with that note? That the DOT requires a truck to stop one time loaded is the requirements for the brakes.
For the service brakes.
Yeah, for the service brakes. But it's not required any more than that. Fully loaded, stop one time in 312 feet.
Right, thereabouts. But the DOT reg is that, fully loaded truck has one stop in this distance. They say nothing about a constant application of the brake.
Exactly. That's the requirements for your
They're just not
brakes.
designed for that.
Yeah.
That's what your engine brake's for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody realizes that.
And it's wrong in the Colorado manual too, in the DMV.
Is it?
I mean, my take on braking was apply, heat them up, cool them down. Heat them up, cool them down. Stab it, get a little bit more grab out of it, and then let off.
Mm-hmm.
Constant. Brian says it's not going to
They're
work
just not
out.
designed
No bueno.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
We grew up in the era that, when the rule of thumb to go up a mountain, when you went down the other side, you went down a gear less
Mhm.
Right.
than what you went up, right?
Mhm. It's not to interrupt you. It's in their test. That was part of the stuff I tried to skip because I wanted to, do I know anything?
Yeah.
And how we were taught. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, the engine brakes were so poor back then.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have that ability.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, sometimes it was 2 gears less than what you went up there.
I was just going to say
and
that,
then it
Dave.
got to 1 gear.
Mhm.
Now just because of the capability of brakes, I mean, we feel we have an issue with it. We worry about it, that our drivers are using way too much brake coming down the hill. And we've talked about it on podcast after podcast. That's the reason we're excited to have you guys on. The goal is to come down that hill and not use your brakes. That engine brake is more than capable of keeping you in that speed range
Yep.
that you're required to.
Well,
be.
and if you're burning brakes, you're burning money.
Yes.
That's
Right.
and that's a big part of what RoadAware, our partners, do. They do these assessments for fleets where they can, and I guess we'll get into that, but they have a driver monitoring software that will show, what the best drivers in your fleet are doing as far as sudden acceleration, sudden braking, kind of like the progressive thing you plug into your car for a better rate.
Right.
It's kind of like that, but it'll show who's being aggressive on their brakes, who's going too fast, who's accelerating too quickly, all that kind of stuff. And they've quantified it, monetized it. They can tell you how much money you're spending on that driver who is being too aggressive with the truck.
Right.
Mhm.
They can give you an annualized number that guy's costing you $5,000.
Mhm.
We're this close with our PACCAR programming to having the ability of, there's nothing we can do about it, but at least we'll have the information of knowing how much brake you're using.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So like we can download 2 trucks and go, well, these 2 guys are running the same run out of Fairplay. This guy's he's on the brakes. I'm just picking random numbers up here. 15% of the time, and this guy's on his brake 39% of the time.
But
that's a problem. You know what I mean? And then we can go to that driver and go, look, here's the data.
Yeah.
Right.
The really positive thing about that RoadAware, and I'm speaking for Brian and Garth, our partners, but I think they're cool with it. The really positive thing is when you show a driver,
yes,
this is what you're doing, then the behavior changes.
Yes.
Because they don't realize it. And everybody wants to do their best job. They're not doing it on purpose. So you can correct that behavior and everybody wins.
Yes.
Yeah. They tested the drivers there at that mine out east of Phoenix at CTI.
Yeah.
And tested their mine drivers and ran it through there, and they have proven results.
Yeah, that these
Then-
guys, these
then
guys want to be
financially,
better
that
drivers.
gets you an insurance discount too. If you have proven data showing, we use this educational software and in-cab tracking, and they showed improvement, then yeah, all right, you guys are being safer. You guys get a discount.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
We tell everybody we introduced cameras, was it 3 years ago now?
It's gotta be.
I mean, it's-
I think longer than that.
It's been
I guess
5.
it's 2020, right?
It's been
When-
5, but the new camera,
Mhm.
we're
Well,
we're
the
to the
new-
point we're calling them new, and they're 3
Yeah,
years old,
yeah.
Jim. But yeah,
Anyway, we introduced cameras, and a lot of the feedback, drivers didn't want the cameras, all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff.
I agree with
did,
that.
We did both facing,
and
Yeah.
forward and driver facing.
And the thing is when you get, and we have lots of stories about them, of a guy, driver liking them, not liking them, and everything. But
Yeah.
the thing is when we have meetings with the drivers, we ask them, "Do you like the cameras?" Everybody says no. But if you ask them, "Has it made you a better driver?" And they're like,
Yes.
"Absolutely."
Right.
Always.
right.
I
They,
don't know.
they're
I think
always the two answers. Do you like them?
Yep.
Nope. Has it made you better? Yep.
I don't know.
But to me, that's feedback of information. They're getting instant feedback because they have the AI in them. Tell you you're following too close. Tell you, you're not wearing your seatbelt. Different stuff like that. There's instant feedback, and,
Yep.
and you naturally want to be better. So
Oh,
you're
yeah.
not
Right.
going to do it anymore. There's the
Yeah,
feedback.
I think you can get the same data. I don't think you need the camera.
No,
You just get it from the truck. Get
Yeah.
it from the driving.
yeah,
I mean, watching them visually,
We're not watching them.
yeah.
It's artificial intelligence, and it's instant feedback.
Hmm.
If you get in there and don't have your seatbelt on, and believe me, we've gotten some tickets at the port of entry because
Oh,
we
yeah.
didn't have our seatbelt on.
Huh.
Why on earth would you not have your seatbelt on?
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah.
you get in there and it's like you drive for a second or two, and pretty soon the camera's saying, "You need your seatbelt on. You need your seatbelt on."
Oh.
You pick up your phone, and the camera's saying, "You're distracted driving.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
distracted driving."
That's
Huh.
great.
You start following a car too close, and the camera goes, "You're following too close. Increase following distance." I mean,
Yeah.
it is, we went from reactive with the old camera system
Yeah.
that just recorded everything to the new system with the artificial intelligence that it's benefiting our drivers. And we took our driving scores when we first started with we're calling them new cameras. We've had them for 3 years, our latest system. And we went from reactive to proactive, and it changed our game. It took our bar from down here. Our bar's up here now.
That's great.
We
That's
are
great.
so much better with them, and our drivers are advocates for them, and
Yeah.
we are huge advocates
Yeah,
for
the
them.
cameras are a
Yeah.
non-issue as far as likability goes right now. It's a non-issue.
We're
I'm-
past that, James.
Yeah,
So,
like
yeah.
yeah, it used to be a deal breaker.
Mhm.
Maybe in the interviews, maybe you could speak more on it, but now, everyone's got cameras. Now, if the camera's malfunctioning and giving false alerts all day,
Sure.
that gets annoying. But
Yeah.
you're not dinged for that. It doesn't go against you.
Mhm.
If you have an alert, if the camera is giving you an alert, it says you did something wrong, it's reviewed by a safety team member to even verify if you were doing something wrong or not.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not, the camera isn't gospel. There is a review process, and
Mhm.
a lot of those could be dismissed, and some of them are you need to have a meeting today
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're dangerous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the huge benefits we love about them is we can create a geofence wherever we want.
Right.
So we've taken that area that's 45 miles an hour right next to the runaway truck ramp on I-70.
Hmm.
We've put a geofence on it. You go over 45 miles an hour, guess what? We get an instant
that's
alert.
great.
Oh, wow.
We can literally pick up the phone and call that driver and go, "Dude, it's 45 through there. What is the problem?"
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
and
great.
nip it in the bud right then and there.
That's amazing.
Because if you're doing that after all of our training,
Yeah, after
There-
the podcast with you guys, and we're still doing it, right, Dave? Go
right?
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, there is a failure somewhere and pretty good odds. I'm not pointing any fingers, but it's not on us.
Right.
Yeah.
We've made it clear. Look, dude, here's the flashing yellow sign. Here's where it's required. There's the speed limit. Here's all the accidents we've shown you. Why are you speeding?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're chasing a dollar that you're never going to earn. You are
Mhm.
never going to earn it.
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
chasing it, and you're going to cost yourself more money because the state patrolman's going to pull you over because of the accidents, because of the awareness they have. They're going to stop you. You're going to sit on the side of the road for 30 minutes, and you're going to lose time. You're going to lose a load, and you're going to have a big ass spine because you're speeding.
Mhm.
Do it right. Do it right the first time, and be an example.
Yeah.
Right? We want to be leaders in the industry. We want to be better in the industry. We want to, we go to a truck stop and we see our brotherhood that's out there,
Yep.
and we want it better.
Mhm.
Right? This is our living, and we want it better. We have a Trucking has a black eye on it, and there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and we need to elevate those people and help educate them and keep training them and keep talking about it and keep being better, keep promoting safety and keep promoting doing things the right way, just like you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Scott, if you've just been driving the last couple of years, but independently on your own and taking all sorts of different loads, you had to see the best of the best out there. I mean, the worst of the worst and the best of the best.
Yeah. I mean, it was across the board.
Which one is greater?
Right. Yeah.
Which did you see more common?
I mean, I was like following the FedEx or UPS guys on their regular routes, man. They always did the right speed. You know, they're always a good guide. But, you know, it was always the smaller mom and pop shops with the beat up truck, you know? Not taking care of things.
Yeah, that's another thing, too. The questionable equipment that you see.
The stereotypical, you know, you're talking about the stereotypical drivers is what people think of when they think of the trucking industry.
Yeah.
But it's come a long way. I mean, there's guys that make $100,000 here plus, and we've talked about engineers that work for the government making 40 grand.
Right.
Yeah. You know, so it is a good way to earn money and raise a family. And not everybody is just the stereotypical truck driver that you've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention earlier, I think you said it, Scott, was that, or maybe you, Joe, but it doesn't matter, that somebody outshifted you. They shifted so much better than you can even shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the guys in our experience over the years, they are so good at their craft, they get bored truck driving, and they're like, I'm bored. And I'm like, because you don't know how good you are.
Right.
It comes naturally.
Yeah.
It's easy. We talk about on the podcast, we got guys come in, they look like they went to war all day long. And we have the other guy come in and
they're
white
dirty hair mess. Today.
Yeah. And the guy shows up in the white t-shirt in the morning. He shows back up in the white t-shirt and you're like, did you work today?
You know, like, I'm going to go work out. Or
then they go to the gym.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's easy.
I'm bored. I need a 30 speed.
Yeah. Right. So that when you see those guys, it's easy to recognize how easy the equipment, you know, comes to them running the equipment.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And I have to say again on the test, you guys really took the time and maybe it's your partners there took the time and broke down, because it interests me, the breakdown of how a Jake brake works or an engine works, you know, the valving, the compression, you know, what it's stopping, how it compares to a gas engine and a diesel engine. They break all that down, Dave. And for me, that's a knowledge of, that's how that works.
Yeah.
You know, that's I can run it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You get that deeper knowledge of it. And that's, and really the philosophy behind the program is the why, not only the how, but the why. You know, this is an important profession, and we feel like the training treats the driver or the enrollee, the test taker, with respect. This is how your equipment works. This is a deeper dive into the physics that are at play when you're going downhill. You know, we compare it to a roller coaster in one section to make it more relatable. But it's, you know, everybody who has taken it has said, I learned something that I didn't know.
Yeah.
And we know that there's a ton of knowledge in there. We don't expect everybody to retain all of it. I mean, we kind of went back and forth with Brian at RoadAware about how much of the physics we should put in it, like we were talking about earlier. And I feel like we got a good mix there. You know, it's not a textbook, but it's not a cakewalk either. I mean, you got to pay attention to it.
When I took it, I've never studied any physics, you know, and his approach came across of, you know, what I needed to get out of the equation.
Yep.
That was great. You know, it shouldn't be intimidating. You know, I got to take this course, it's got physics in it. You know, it's not it at all.
I'm from Louisiana. We don't have physics.
I didn't take it that way at all, you guys. I mean, the diagrams, the center of gravity, all that kind of stuff. You know, I mean, I understood it, but it made more sense because that's what you're doing. And I told Dave, you know, through the years, you see a rollover and you're like, okay, why didn't the guy stop sooner? Why didn't he feel that? Why didn't he step on the brakes? Why didn't he do that? And you guys break down a lot of that. I told Dave there's a ton of videos in there that, and you even make the statement that the driver doesn't realize it, and the videos show that the trailer's already tipped over and the truck doesn't know anything.
Yep.
You know,
exactly.
the tractor is flat, or it hasn't realized what the trailer's doing. So the driver is unaware of it, you know, but also in my experience, to tell a quick story, we went back to a testing grounds for Michelin tires, and they were testing the wide base tires, and they asked us to go a certain speed into the corners with this truck.
Mm-hmm.
And when I drove the truck, they had a director or a teacher with you. He's like, okay, I want you to go 55 miles an hour. I want you to hold the pedal. I want you to do this. When I got to the first corner, I couldn't do it, you guys. I let off the fuel.
Yeah.
And because it just didn't feel right. And that's the situation that when you talk about the guys driving their cars and their trucks,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have a feel of that. And I don't know where I got that, but I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, don't worry, it won't tip over. Well, you know, and it doesn't, but it's
right.
bullshit. You know, I don't care what you're telling me. You know,
I don't trust you. I trust me. I'm using some brakes.
Yeah.
Right.
And Dave went and did the same things. He's like, that was pretty weird, wasn't it? And I'm like, yeah. So I guess there's a feel that you need to develop for drivers too, that I would, you know, everybody listening to this, that you have to, if you've been to that scary piece, you can't go there anymore. And you guys talk about it in the training too, of being on the edge.
Yeah.
You know, you're always driving on the edge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not a good place.
Yeah. And the difference between we talked about this last week in a meeting. He was saying, because he's the engineer and the physicist, he said in a passenger vehicle, you reach a certain, I think it's 0.3 Gs, where it becomes uncomfortable, where it'll move you in your seat. And in a passenger vehicle, like in a canyon, you're willing to slide a little bit in your seat because it doesn't raise any alarms, because you know that capability. He said, when you're way up in a rig based on the height and the weight and, you know, the way they're built and the way you sit in the seat, he said, by the time you reach any level of discomfort in that seat, it's too late.
That's too late.
I
Good.
bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good.
Really
Makes
interesting.
perfect sense.
Yeah.
You know, so much of this has to do with being engaged in your job.
Yeah.
You know, and we run into that a lot. And I'm going to butcher, Joe, what did you do for 28 years? I know you said risk assessment, but financial
risk.
Financial
stuff.
risk.
I fixed broken trades for a living.
Okay. All right. So in that trade for 28 years, how many people did you run into that for them that was a job? And what I mean is they showed up, they were there on time, they did their job.
Quite a few.
But it was at a low level, I guess I'll say, right?
The majority. You have a few shining stars, and you have a lot of people who are there to.
And if that were the case in that world, how many people would they be around that would die or would be killed?
That's a great point.
None. Right? So their level of risk, or that company's level of risk, was very low.
Right.
Our level of risk is incredible. It's absolutely phenomenal. And the thing with these, I call them ballistic verdicts, not nuclear,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we're in a world that is upside down right now.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense. You hear some of these verdicts, you know. I don't know if you guys are subscribers to the CCJ.
I read that every day.
I mean, did you read the Wabash settlement last week and the Warner trucking one 2 years ago or a year and a half? These are mind-boggling settlements.
Yeah.
Right.
And the world is upside down. That Wabash settlement, those two drivers were drunk.
Yeah.
Double the legal limit without seatbelts on.
Right.
And it's Wabash's fault.
Right.
What flipping world are we living in? So we have to take the training. We have to take every driver's ability and elevate it beyond the sense of this can't be a job.
Yeah.
We need to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt you did your pre-trip this morning, or you did your post-trip last night, or those brakes were in adjustment, or I didn't have an air leak, or you know what I mean, whatever the case may be, because no matter what, Frank Azars by the millions are standing out there in every state wanting to sue a trucking company.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
and they never go to court anyways. They just settle out of court.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's all about the dollars.
It is.
They didn't fix the problem.
No.
If there was a problem.
Right.
So now we need a driver that we need to convince you can't just be average here. You need to be shining star.
I think the
Right?
theme is no complacency.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No
Wonderful. No
complacency.
complacency.
And total
right?
compliance.
Yes.
You know, I mean, you need to be airtight.
Yes.
And even that, to your point, is not enough sometimes.
Right.
But
Right. And yet on the other hand, we are a business, Joe.
Mhm.
We have to, and we're seasonal to a degree.
Yep.
Right here in Colorado, we don't haul the same volumes in December and January and February that we
Right.
do in June, July, and August.
Mhm.
So we claim we need to make hay while the sun shines, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it is seasonal. We do push in the summer. We have to do it legally.
Yep.
But we still have to, go get more loads. We have to be on the road longer hours. We do those things more,
Yeah.
and it's I don't know that the reward is worth the risk when you really break it down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know at what point that is going to, at some point, I mean, it's breaking companies all the time, every day right
Yeah.
now, right?
Right. Right.
Small business is going away. The federal government is making sure of that.
Yeah.
They want government control, not small business control.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things going on, but yeah, I mean, back to that driver and his responsibility or her responsibility, it's beyond comprehension almost sometimes,
Yeah.
right? It can almost mind boggle you a little bit and you can't let it weigh you down. You have to look at a list and go, all right, I did this pre-trip. I did this post-trip. I'm in control. We're in good shape. I'm going trucking. This is
Right.
going to be fun again. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, there is a lot of peril out there compared to any other job. Or I shouldn't say any other job. Of course, policemen, firemen,
Sure.
nurses, doctors,
Well-
they carry lives in their hands.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think the average person, when he or she starts out in the trucking industry, realizes I could kill somebody.
But
today."
then I think the other side of it is the constant driver shortage. It's 60,000, the turnover, the
Right.
guys, girls run a year, two, and then just decide it's not for me. It's too high stress,
Right.
and then we got that constant churn, so that's always in the background too.
Sure.
I don't know how many drivers are there with CDLs, 3 million,
2.3 million.
2.3.
And all of them need to take mountain training.
yeah.
They do.
I would
They
agree.
do. Yeah,
Well, and that's
absolutely.
kind of to your point. I mean, it doesn't help with the nuclear verdicts, but we have talked with insurance companies about potentially offering a rebate
Mhm.
if you take this training. Another thing that has come up is let's say we have a fleet that takes our mountain training course and they have an accident and they go to court and they tell the lawyers that they took this mountain training course. Okay. And then whatever happens. Well, the next case, there's a term for this that a lawyer would know, and I can't remember what it is, but the next case that comes up, there's a wreck.
Precedence.
They say, did you take this mountain training course?
Yes or no?
Yes or
Gotcha.
no. If they did, then that's a plus. If they didn't,
Sure.
well, why didn't you?
Sure.
Again, it's business, and obviously we want to get enrollees, but I go back to the goal of saving lives. Our partners in Phoenix, Brian he's a retired 2-time Fortune 500 CEO engineer, and he is doing this for the greater good. And
That's great.
he has turned me into a believer.
That is great.
At first I said, yeah, maybe we can, we can make some money on this, being finance guy. But after being really immersed with these guys and seeing where they're coming from, it's a calling. We really believe we can help.
That is
Mhm.
fantastic.
Yeah, I want to bring up the ELDT training. Did you guys have to go through any of that? I missed it.
No.
I already got my CDL. I'm just wanting to compare that.
Yeah.
I just feel like, that's a good basic coverage for Class A combination, but ours is really kind of a grad school class,
Yeah.
but
Mm.
this is just as needed, I think, if not more.
Sure.
I
You
took
know?
the ELDT training as part of my training. And when I was creating this course, when I was creating the kind of the foundation of the course, there was a lot of graphics and cartoons and actors and all this stuff available to build a course with. And I said, no, this needs to be black and white, straight ahead, bland. It needs to look, feel, taste like a government course.
Right.
It needs to be
Mhm.
straightforward. We don't need any cute graphics, any of that kind of stuff. We need information in, information out, because it is a very sober direct topic. You know?
So that's a requirement as of when?
ELDT is a requirement as
February of 22.
Yeah, and that's a 6-hour course.
Yeah.
So
you have to take
driver.
that. Yeah, you should take it
For a
before
CDL driver.
you should take it before you start basic training, but you definitely have to have it done within the government system before you go in for your skills test.
Yep.
Wow.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I send our people over to Excel to test out.
Okay.
And
So it's like entry
pull
level
it up.
or basic.
Yeah, they have to have that online course finished before they can test it.
Entry level
Wow.
driver training. Yeah.
Okay.
But like I
It's
said, it just
comprehensive.
covers the basics.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd like to rewind a little bit. How did you guys hook up with Brian in Arizona? And tell us a little bit more about Road Aware. It looked like there's an app and it tells you if you're going too fast for a corner.
Scott's got the app here. We'll
Oh,
fire
sweet.
it up. So I was at a CMCA safety meeting last year, and guy standing next to me wasn't talking to anybody, and I got to talk to somebody. I said, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Joe, CDL303. I'm new." And he said, "I'm Garth from Road Aware Safety Systems." And he told me a little bit about their app. It is an app. They mapped 400,000 data points in North America
Wow.
and put them all into this app. So in real time, you put in the make, model, engine, weight, the type of load you're carrying into the app. And then it tells you in real time, you've got a curve coming up based on your weight and everything. You should be going 22 miles per hour. If you're going over that,
Recommended
it'll
speeds.
give you recommended speeds. It'll give you a warning if you're going too fast. It'll tell you how to take descents. It's pretty amazing stuff. But
That is
that's
awesome.
that's what they're working on. And he told me all about it. And I said, we're thinking about creating a mountain training course. Your app would be perfect for our driver training. And he said, you're a school. He said, we only worked with fleets. And I said, oh, okay, well, here's my card. Nice to meet you. Take it easy. About a month later, he called me and he said, my boss wants to meet you. And I said, okay. So a few days later, Brian Bullock came into town and we sat down and hit it off, talked for, I think, 2.5 hours about mountain training and about a vision. And he said, I want to create a mountain training program and integrate our app. He said, and you've got a school and you're my school.
Got
And we're going to do this together.
Sweet.
And off it went. So the program itself, it's not just the online training. It's a 4-tiered training for fleets where you have the online training, you have Road Aware app in cab. Like we were talking about earlier, they can look at driver behavior and characteristics. They can do any assessments if anything goes wrong. And then we also take fleet trainers at our facility and they work with Scott. Scott takes at most 3 at a time, run them up over Loveland Pass to Silverthorne and then back down the hill a couple of days so you can see how it works. And then they do it themselves on the 3rd day, get an assessment that goes back to their fleet. And then they go back and train their people as another piece of it. So
Train the trainer.
So we have a kind of a full suite. And then the training itself, we've got the primary course, which you take, and then we have 24-hour refresher, a 7-day refresher, a 30-day, a 60-day, a 90-day, just to keep it fresh. Did a lot of research on retention. If you take the course and you don't do anything else, you retain 20% of it. If you take the course and you have just the tiniest refresher 28 or 24 hours later, you retain about 60%.
Oh my.
If you have another refresher 7 days out, just the way your brain works, you'll retain 80% of what was in that course. So that's why we've got it kind of spread out like that. And then, just to add value, the courses further down the line, it's more just a quick crash analysis of maybe, a case study of something that's happened. But again, just to put it back in the front of the driver's mind, like I said, these guys are engineers. They did a lot of research on the best way for drivers to retain the information, not just here's the training, churn through it.
Right.
We'll check the box and move on with our lives. It's not like that. This is really a hope that people will retain as much of the information as possible and make them safer drivers.
Right.
And we're throwing around the idea of splitting it in 2 for spring, summer, and then a fall, winter session. So I don't know, maybe we can turn this into a focus group and later talk about it, see what you guys would think. You know?
Yeah, it's
Just ideas floating around. It was just a recommendation from one of our guys.
I mean, the
our marketing
the
guy.
seasonal challenge in Colorado is huge,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's
I'm working on a winter refresher right now. It'll be a standalone course that we're gonna
That'd be
blast
great.
out to everybody at the end of. Well, I need to get it done. I'm the guy. There's nobody for me to blame, but
right.
I've got all the data. But I'm going to create a course which will probably, I would say, be out in the next 2 weeks. Which is winter's coming. Here's chain up procedures.
Right.
Here's pre-trip and post-trip. Here's how mountain weather works. Here's how crosswinds can affect your truck.
Right.
We have all that stuff in there. Just as a refresher,
That's
for
great.
anybody who wants to take it. It really gets our stuff out there, and it's a lot of great information.
That is great.
There's just a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, they had a chaining video in there that somebody did, or the chain company did.
Yep.
And it was a good video. I think, unless, because I did, honestly, guys, I wanted to see how good it was, or what my knowledge was. So I was trying
Sure.
to go through with it, which you couldn't, because there was so many facts. You needed to read it, which I liked it. I backed up, I read it, and if I didn't know the fact, the other thing with the chaining that, if you were looking at it, you guys, is we have the guys run the truck just too fast.
Yeah.
Chained up. And they either wear the chains out or they throw the chains. And there needs to be a little bit of concentration on that you're chained up, you can do really well, but don't go over 25 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour.
I agree.
And
2025.
yeah, 2025. And Colorado, we've been, as long as we've been driving, okay, they threw the chain law up, but I got bare pavement.
Yeah.
Well, if I go up 5 or 6 more miles, I needed my chains, but then I need to take them back off realistically 5 or 6 miles later.
But the chain law's up.
But the chain law's up.
So we're running 12 miles of chained dry pavement.
Yeah.
Ruining our chains.
Yeah.
But you have to eat that and just slow down. Don't tear up the chains. Don't throw them off. Don't tear up. For us, we run a front fender where we can beat the hell out of the fender. We try to change just the back axle. So, but a little bit of concentration on that. But I would do that for your winter is definitely a chain up piece, which you said you were going to do. And
But-
it's just, I think it's scary for drivers at a certain, I got to chain up. I got to do that. It's scary. And it's not
having the right clothes. You got to have full winter gear to do that right and be comfortable and not be rushed.
Right. We talk about that.
Yeah.
That's the one problem with that video. Is it's a sunny day and that guy's in a t-shirt. And,
Yeah.
But we reviewed a lot of different chain up videos, and that was just the best one.
Yeah,
you
always learn on a nice day.
Yeah. And then you're going to learn the real way the first time.
Right.
Right. You're going to be like, oh,
I don't remember my hands feeling this way.
right.
Yeah.
I didn't know I'd get so wet.
Yeah, years ago, you guys, we had a tandem delivery up in Golden, and the driver was an older gentleman, and he I don't even know how he got up there, and he made the delivery, but he's like, I'm too scared to come down. I can't come down. And at that time, we didn't carry chains, and I'm pretty sure it was like a spring day, and we hadn't had any snow, but there was still, the roads were snow packed in evergreen.
The shaded spots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a dirt road.
Yeah, it was a
You'd
dirt
have
road.
a nice dirt patch and then a shaded spot, and you're like, that's a lot of ice.
Yeah.
That's a pretty steep fall.
Yeah.
And we get up there and we're like, we'll just chain him up, but it was switchbacks and tight enough that you'd have to go slow enough that a few of the spots you'd fall between a chain because you'd have your brakes on.
Right.
Going so slow.
So slow that you'd fall between a group of chains, braked, and you'd just start to slide, and you go, oh, I gotta let off the brake. You know what I mean? To get the tire, to get the chain to catch.
Yeah.
And it was probably, otherwise chaining up, you're a tank. You can go just about any place pretty safely. But
Right.
that was an experience. That was like, I didn't like that.
Yeah. First time I chained up was Donner Pass there at Tahoe. I didn't know anything about their minimum maximum chain laws. If it's so bad, they'll have maximum. So you got to have chains on the trailer and on the drives.
Yeah.
Luckily,
And
it was
don't you have
minimum.
to chain up a steer as well?
Yeah, the steers too. And I always wondered, all the times I drove through there, even before I had a truck, I always wondered why 80 was cupped out. And it's because of those chains. It's just digging it out.
Right. Yeah.
Guys, what's your hope and dreams for CDL 303?
Being able to pay for college.
You know, I mean, it sounds cliched, but it's a lofty goal. Getting everybody home safe and sound to their families every night.
Amen.
Whether
Yeah.
you're in a truck or you're in a car or
Amen.
you're on a bike or whatever you're doing, if we can advance that goal, then that's what we're here for.
Love
Truly.
it. Love it.
Hey, and a little bit off the subject, you guys, but because you'll see more people than we ever will and companies than we ever will. And we don't know if it's because of the new law for the motorcycles being able to split lanes.
Yeah.
But we've had 4 motorcycle accidents
What?
where the motorcycle splitting lanes, either too fast or too slow, and the motor, not our fault, not the other, the motorcycle crashes. I mean, they've literally bounced off of us.
Yeah.
And it just, for me to help people, if you guys could keep that in mind for some of your classes and some of your
Sure.
companies,
Yeah.
because the motorcycle, it's gotten out of control.
Yes.
And I know, a month from now, we won't be riding bikes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a serious deal. Motorcycle guys have taken that law to an
Yeah.
Oh, and it
Yeah.
scares the hell out of you if you're sitting in traffic
oh,
and one
yeah.
comes flying
Yeah.
by. We were
Yeah.
talking about that the other day because
Yeah.
there was a guy actually out here on Quebec. There was a back up at one of the lights, and I'm sitting there minding my own business. And I mean, just scared the hell out of me,
exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
but Scott's a motorcyclist too.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, they're not using the law correctly.
Well,
they're not
No.
yeah.
Well,
They're not
the
in
Colorado
control.
law is traffic has to be stopped.
right. They're not doing that.
Right. They're not doing that.
Well, some of them may be, but the ones that are crashing that we witnessed,
Yeah.
they're not doing that.
yeah.
Well, that guy hit that rear of that trailer, that flatbed right over here on Quebec. I ran across that news story. That was earlier this summer, man.
Huh.
He ate it.
Yeah. Yeah, we just had a guy try to pass us and Calabrese. We were at a light and he came in and bounced off the Calabrese steer tire, bounced into our drive tires,
No kidding.
and then bounced back into the front of the Calabrese truck.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and the Calabrese truck did a great job. He stopped.
Yeah, that was cool.
Otherwise, he
man.
would have just ran over it.
Wow.
I mean, yeah.
Human pinball machine.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had another one do the same thing. It's just driving down I-70 and made a right-hand turn right into a FedEx truck.
Man.
Just split
Yep.
the lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Scott, you know, with you driving all the time or whatever, having your own truck, when you curb something, you leave a pretty good black mark on your tires, right?
Oh, yeah.
Rookie rings, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
When that motorcycle crashed, he left a big old black mark in our tires.
Hit a rookie ring on the one
And
drive.
I mean, how hard did you hit that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To leave that mark and
Yeah.
and then luckily the motorcycle guy was all right. We have pictures of the bike which was destroyed, but he's like, "I'm good. If you guys are good, we can go." and the other driver was like, "No, we're calling."
Nice try, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any more questions or anything you want to add in regards to CDL 303 before we move on?
I just want to thank y'all for having us this
Yeah.
morning. This has
Yeah.
been great. We
Awesome.
really appreciate it. And we appreciate the partnership for
Yeah.
safety.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
helping us be better.
Yeah.
Don't go anywhere yet unless you got to go. We weren't saying goodbye.
Yeah, I'd like to keep it part of the announcements, for maybe new listeners for us that you guys are available to do this. I think it's
Yeah.
important, and
Absolutely.
I don't think I've taken quite a few tests, and I enjoyed yours guys really because
Thank you.
Good.
There's some out that are just stupid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to
Yeah.
teach.
Now this is all coming from the heart and experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was definitely a good course. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, our goal is to, get up local companies like you to pick it up and get this groundswell of, this is the way we do it in Colorado, and let other people out of state, pick it up.
Yeah.
We got to
Yeah.
set the standard.
Absolutely.
It's a different ball game, and we got to let them know.
Yes, we do, and I mean that's kind of always our goal, along with safety and everything else. And when you talk about that groundswell, is trucking has such a bad reputation,
Yeah,
and we need to change.
It needs better
that.
PR.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean we have, I've said it 100 times, and everybody listening to the podcast gets probably tired of me saying it, but we go through a gate in and out of one of our job sites 10,000 times. We hit it once, And we're like all over it. We're like, oh my God, the end of the world. What was the driver thinking, everything else. But we tell everybody, we never really mentioned on the 10,000 times we went through the gate, never touched it.
Yep.
And that's the amazing part. And we have amazing people. There's amazing truck drivers out there doing a great job. But it's these few that, you guys need to get trained to make us better.
Yeah.
And the crashes we've had, they're horrific. And you look at the basis of them and there's no training.
Yep.
Yeah. So congratulations, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good stuff. Well, coming up in our What's Next section, first day of fall is this Sunday, the 22nd. I already got leaves falling at my house.
Right.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you know what that means. If the leaves are falling, that means they're changing. All the leafers are going to be out. Watch out on top of like Kenosha Pass. Those people will stop right in the road to get a look at the leaves. So
Yeah, we'll get that more of that Friday traffic too, and if we're running on a Saturday,
Yeah.
running up past Fry's and up I-70, all the
ski
all the
traffic.
leafers, and then we'll start with the ski traffic. So
Yep.
you're right, Jim.
Questions from the audience. Had one come in from Jack Oquendo Mejia. He's got 2 questions. Number 1, now that fall and winter is right around the corner, are the Utah runs going to be the majority work through the winter besides the local work and snow removal to keep us going?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All of the above, right?
All of the above. Yeah.
But definitely 45 loads a week coming out of Utah. So
Yeah.
that'll help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and a lot of them will be like I mentioned earlier, be a direct ship, not only going up to 88th. And yeah, we're looking forward to this winter.
Did we ever get the contract signed?
We did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else asked me.
Yeah,
that.
it's signed.
It's
We're
done.
we're
It's the
we're in
paper.
it. The loads might vary a little bit because of the direct ship and what's running up there. And there's always that piece. If we have a bad winter, man, we're going to be busy. If we have a so-so winter, we'll have what they promised.
Yeah. Well, if we have a so-so winter, the other work will keep us busy.
Exactly.
too.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I mean, we did this for a year, signed a contract for a year. We're excited to see how the year works out.
Sure.
And then that gives us the availability of tweaking it a little bit. Hey, we need more money, or we need to do it this way, or we need to do less loads, more loads, whatever. There's a whole possibility, and to build a relationship with Envirotech,
Right.
it's important. But again, we have to bring customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
We're hauling salt when we usually haul rock and sand. Trailers have to be clean. These guys are sitting here today talking about safety and mountain driving. Hey, that's all mountain driving. I don't know if anybody can get to Utah without going through the mountain. Well, you can go 80 and around, but
Still mountains on 80.
Yeah. So we're in it to win it, and we're digging deep. And Jack, we're excited.
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's going to be an evolution, right?
Yeah.
We've already ran it a little bit, and we've already been tweaking it and changing it and adjusting it and where we stay and how all that works. And yeah, it's going to be huge. And I want to emphasize, we all have to do it. We can't just lay it down on 45 trucks. It's got to be across the fleet.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got to take their turn and go do it, and make it fun. This is a fun job. If we can have a good time and still be safe.
I gotta say, when I took that load of pipe from Fort Morgan down to Farmington, New Mexico, I was like, oh, I get to do Wolf Creek.
Right?
I was looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
Second question from Jack. My second question is for Brother Dave.
Uh-oh.
Will there be another backup challenge at the main yard, like the one we had where we back up from the main shop all the way to the back lot with no pull-ups to win more money? Did Jack win? Did Jack do it with no pull-ups?
I think he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that just sounds like a money question.
Right.
Yeah.
Jack, just come see me later. I'll give you $20 from Brother Dave.
But he sounds comfortable that he can win the money.
Yeah.
So there is a.
Maybe it needs to be a bigger challenge. I'm
Actually,
not sure.
Jack, I got a push-up challenge for you.
Sounds like sports betting carryover.
Yes,
Maybe his other account isn't doing so well.
Safety topic of the week. Protect your turn lane with your trailer. Do not open it up, as vehicles will take that lane, which has proven to be super dangerous. So, perfect example, we talk about button hook, or what was the other name of that?
I was trying to think of it.
Jug hook, a jug hook or something like that.
J-hook.
J-hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
So-
swing out in the lane.
Yeah.
Stay straight, turn late.
stay straight, turn
like
left.
that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Stay straight,
Yeah.
turn left.
What
every
about
time.
move over completely to the left lane and make a right turn?
No.
Yeah.
Hell no.
No. We're joking about that, but unfortunately, a motorcyclist just lost his life on Highway 85 last week.
Really?
We caught it on our dash cam.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I can only say what I assume I saw in the video, allegedly, right? I don't want to make a permanent statement here, but it looked like that truck was in the left lane completely making a right-hand turn.
Ugh.
Motorcycle came up to the back of him and was like, wow, why is this guy going so
Yep.
slow? Busted to the right. Guy turned. The motorcyclist went under the lowboy. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that just happened.
Now, if you guys have any of the dash cam stuff, we'd really like to take a look at it and see
Yeah.
if we could use it in our course.
Oh,
Yeah.
If that'd be okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we have
We're-
several hits videos.
How much?
We have,
Oh, yeah.
we have highlights and then Jam named a
Low
low
lights.
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is none. Is
How much time you got? 'Cause
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my jobs is finding material online.
I'll
Sadly,
hook you up.
there's a ton of it.
I'll hook you up.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, on that crash, Jam, I want to throw out there that I think for me as a driver, as a long-term driver, I think what that other driver probably did is something he's done all the time.
Right.
And I don't know how many times I've come to an intersection where, I'm going to assume nobody's around me, but it's a tight intersection. And you get to where it's easy, where I don't have to worry about dropping that hitting the curb or dropping the trailer in the ditch.
Right.
And I know he was pulling a longer trailer than normal.
Right.
So he swung out, and you swing out. It makes it easy on you. You're not facing or hitting the oncoming traffic on your right turn, right? I mean, you've eliminated all that, and it looks smooth, but it's dangerous. You've opened up that area for somebody to come up beside you. You hit them, or in this case, the motorcycle zipped in beside us, not beside us, beside the truck. Well, beside us, because we're truckers, right?
Right.
And lost his life. But that's not the way that turn's supposed to be done. It's the easy way to make that turn,
Right.
but it's not the proper way.
I think the hard thing to swallow about watching that is we've all done that 1,000 times.
That's what I mean, Dave.
And the statement was, I looked around, no one was around. And I think at the time, no one was around.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I don't think the motorcycle was speeding, but I don't know. Right.
Yeah.
We're all talking about speculation. We know there was an accident.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Between a truck and a motorcycle at this point.
There's an accident
And-
this morning out there on Highway 85. I don't
Yeah.
have any
Yeah.
details yet, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Our guys called it incident.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And it just, I think the point we're trying to drive home is, even if you think no one's around, do the right thing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I love your comment. If you'd say it again, stay
Stay.
Oh, stay straight.
stay
Turn
straight,
late.
turn late. I
I
love
just-
that.
Every turn.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
got that
I love
rolling in
that.
my head. Yep.
And I think some of the things we run into with when you're driving, I think we just get in a hurry sometimes. We just don't have the patience.
What took that away from me was using GPS. It told me there's no reason to rush.
Wow, that's
There's
a good
no
point.
reason. You're not going to get there any sooner with
Good
this
point.
80,000 pounds.
Yeah,
It's
good point.
not. You're just not going to do it.
I love that.
Yeah.
There was
Hey,
a,
you should teach a driving school.
there's an example
I'll
in the
look that up.
training, in the training of a wreck at a mine in Arizona, and the driver was coming down the incline, and he was going, and I would have to look it up, but I want to say he was doing 10 to 15 miles per hour over what the recommended speed was. And had he made it to the bottom going too fast, he wrecked it. Had he made it to the bottom, he would have saved 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
Right.
That's funny.
Just by that little,
Sure.
to do it the right way,
Yeah.
you're not saving any time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I have it right too, that incident, that truck crashed into one of the settling ponds
Right.
at the mine,
Hmm.
15 feet of water, and the driver and the passenger luckily were okay, so they could climb out and swim to safety.
Wow.
So 2.5 seconds, and not 2
Minutes,
2.5 minutes. It wouldn't have had to deal with any of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the chances of them being okay and then swimming to safety, I'm just like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Tips and tricks from Ray Davis. Doing the small things in life to set you up for success. The small things can be just doing your job, checking it twice. It's just a couple of minutes that can save you hours and put money in your pockets. Leaving the yard and starting your day on time on a good note. Leaving the yard late puts stress on you because you feel behind. This makes you rush, and rushing leads to stress, and being in a hurry, that can just make a bad day or even worse, an accident.
That was just a good segue we just had.
I'm telling you what. Instead, by the way, Ray sent this to me last week. It was like, we got done with the podcast. He sent me another
Thank you,
tips
Ray.
and tricks. Yeah. Instead, leave on time and be Cadillacing for a great productive day. So with that being said, when we pull into the yard, many will bump their tires in the fuel island, fuel up, park, and go home. It's crazy we have flat tires every morning, and some days on multiple trucks or even 3. I know it is possible that you had a screw or nail in your tire when you pull in to fuel up and you have that minute to bump your tires, and now that screw or nail is in the bottom so you don't see or hear it leaking and you think it's good. Then you park, it's on top, and you just jump out and leave, and when you come in the next morning, you have a flat. Yes, it happens, but let's be better and show that we are better. Let's bump them twice and catch that nail or screw before we leave at night and get it fixed before we come in the next morning. I took it as a challenge that we have no flat tires in the mornings. I don't know about you, but hearing Dave and Jim constantly having to say something about flat tires in the morning gets old, and it's a simple thing to check and should not happen. You know, this is the only company where the owners care, and they're always constantly putting money back into us with raises, bigger percentage bumps, better benefits, and everything else they do for us. So I believe we can give back by just doing our job and doing the simple things by bumping your tires twice, checking your truck twice. So I'm challenging you drivers. Let's show them and make my job harder to write more tips and tricks that are not on the same thing because we are too complacent and just overlook the simple things like checking twice. Hope all is well with the JFW friends, families, and listeners. Remember, safety has no blind spots. Look and lean, sit up in your stool. Don't be a fool. It's better to be slow and safe than it is to be sorry. Much love and respect always. Ray, the Black Sheep, 0013.
That was a great one.
That was one of the
Thank
best
you, Ray.
ones.
Right?
Yes.
That was awesome, buddy.
P.S. He did.
The PS didn't make our sheet.
Did he just text you?
No, at 5:36 this morning. Can you please add this to the podcast? When you have a dead battery and need a jump, let's help out the mechanics and take the battery cover off. If you have a flat tire, take the lug nut covers off. If you get a check engine light on, please call the shop first and have them check it and let them make the call to do a key reset. Do not turn your truck off. Let the shop make that call because you could shut the engine off and that will kill your 4-hour window to keep going. Let's show them that we appreciate them and help them out. Remember, it's the little things that help. So
Great.
That's good.
Yes.
Another good. Yeah.
Ray, next week I need you to write the whole outline.
He's on fire right now.
He is.
He's great. That was a great one. So, you want to hit us with that High Road Haulin?
Sure. All right. This one is about changing the world. And I know everybody's worried about changing the world. So this is an old quote. I bet you everybody's heard it before. Be the change you want to see in the world. A quote attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. He believed advocates of social change need to encourage others by their own example. I know we're a group of truck drivers not really interested in sweeping changes in society, but we are primarily interested in living, loving, and being comfortable and happy. However, we do run into things we see people that we feel are rude, inconsiderate, discriminating, dangerous, and just plain wrong. We encounter these actions everywhere. We see people doing these questionable things in the stores, schools, on the road, virtually everywhere. We read or see in the news atrocities being committed at home against people, animals, strangers, and families. People are heard saying, "What is this world coming to?" Truth be told, there have been wrongs committed against humankind by our brothers since the dawn of time. Our modern era has just magnified this to a point that is almost intolerable. To a person, we see and hear about things that touch our moral core, and somehow we wish we could change that story, or what we see and make it right. Each of us can make a difference in a way we think and act, and affect those around us. create change in our own world with our family at home, at work, and in our community. Consider doing those small things that are kind, helpful, loving, or just the right thing to do. Spread the positive energy. We can begin today by letting that car into traffic, by holding the door open for a person behind us, by paying it forward whenever we can, by never disrespecting anyone and treating others as we wish to be treated. Every small thought or action can make a difference. Just think if everyone did just one kind act every day, what a positive difference it would make in the world. Choose to be positive instead of negative. Choose good over evil. Make the point to respect, help, teach, involve, encourage, and love others today. Be the change you want to see in the world. There you have it.
Amen.
Wow,
Awesome.
man.
Thanks, Dave. That
Love
was
it.
awesome.
Final thoughts, everybody?
Mine's pretty simple this week. I ran across this one. It costs a candle nothing to light another candle.
Like that.
And I just thought, man, that's pretty deep if you think about it, but a lot of truth there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or kind of surface, just help somebody.
Right. That's
Right?
right. It costs
I
you
mean,
nothing.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah.
You know,
Boom.
it doesn't cost that candle
Yeah.
a bit of light.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Boom, right there in your face.
Yeah.
I have something from a great college coach, and I'm just going to play it because he says it so much better than I do. But before I do that, I just want to remind everyone that we're less than 50 days from a vote on Tuesday, November 5th. And if anyone needs help getting registered, I'm more than happy to help you register to vote.
Yeah.
So
We will
just
help.
a fresh reminder on that. So,
We will vote for you if you want.
and then, hopefully I can do this with my phone here and it won't.
In our life. We can be bad at what we do. I mean, we can be average at what we do. I mean, we can be good at what we do, which probably is God's expectation for whatever ability he gave us, or we can be excellent, or we can be elite. All right? And everybody has a choice as to what they want to do and how they want to do that. But if you're going to be excellent or elite, all right, you got to do special things. You have to have special intensity. You have to have special focus. You have to have a special commitment and drive and passion, all right, to do things at a high level and a high standard all the time. All right? And it doesn't matter what God-given ability that you have, that probably can make you good. But without the rest of it, I'm not sure you ever get excellent or elite. And we have about 5 choices, in our life.
That's it.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Man, Nick Saban,
Yep.
you bring me in here. And I'm an LSU guy, and you bring in Bama's most winning coach.
All right, Joe, let's go.
I'm kidding. He won a national championship at LSU. So now that he's retired, I can like him again.
That's
We
funny.
take anything from anywhere that we
Yeah,
can.
that's awesome. No, that's a
We're not
great
too
quote.
prejudiced, but yeah.
That's fantastic.
I mean, we've never quoted a Democrat up on this podcast.
Hey, not true. Not true. Ask not what you can do for your country.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
JFK.
There you go. Yeah.
So
He was different.
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I think
funny.
that was,
Ask not what you're. I said it backwards.
I think that was back when everybody was concerned about how great a country we could be.
Right.
Not how
Right.
great
Right.
they can be.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt. You guys have any final thoughts?
Once again, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
it's a pleasure
Thank
to
you,
meet you,
guys.
and you have a great organization and great leadership, and I think your focus on safety and on creating a culture for your company. This looks like a great place to work, and I can't tell you how important that is. And,
That's not
and
just
how
the donuts
worthwhile
talking,
that
is it?
It's partly the donut. That's
Got you sugared up.
So, yeah, second donut messed with my head a little bit. It's just great for y'all to welcome us in and see what kind of business you have. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. And we I said earlier, we appreciate you guys being here and
Yeah.
and wish you all the luck because I think it's important what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I know we didn't talk in depth, but the road aware, safety system. So that's important to look into that app and stuff. So that's a good piece of it. But yeah, thank you guys.
Yep. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Channel 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 to help find Amber's mom. Links to her story will be in today's show notes. Let's say the creed and get on out.
Super. Together,
Move the basket.
right?
Together we face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are a JFW family.
Have a great week, everybody.
Right on. Right on.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We worked for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a looking for another load. They just keep them doors closed, keep them butts in their seats, cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.